If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Hello and welcome to the HHH 226 live from Club Hawthorne Crazy Poor OTB in Villa Park, Illinois. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz, along with co-host Al Roscoe and Matt Miller. We have a very excited, boisterous crowd here today at Club Hawthorne Crazy Poor OTB as we are live on YouTube to cover the last 3 races on Pegasus Day at Gulfstream Park. It's already been a fantastic day. Please make sure you subscribe on the bottom right-hand side of the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. Hit that notification bell so that you know when new content will arise, and also smash that like button. We'd really appreciate it. Kyle and Matt, we've had a tremendous crowd here. Let's talk about a few other quick promotions. You can listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Anchor. We've got fantastic Power Picks. Look below the video player for information on our Power Picks tip sheet. We also have a great website, hhhracingpodcast.com is our website. Let's talk about the last race very quickly. Matt, will have you go first, and then Kyle. Matt, I know that was sort of a sour taste in your mouth. Miles D just didn't run well. The pace didn't develop. The winner was endorsed at 9-2.
Yeah, that was just a terrible pick. The race setup was awful. I think halfway through, I came looking for you guys saying what happened. So, right, Gulfstream races could be a little strange from time to time, and that horse just didn't fire.
Kyle, what was your thoughts on the race?
I mean, same thing. I was on Miles D completely, and yeah, just the race, the pace pressure didn't develop like we thought it would here, but a great pick if you followed Howard's pick from on Wednesday. An absolutely great pick with endorsed on top at 9-2.
Those of you listening at home, I know someone chatted in that we have an echo. We will try to work on that. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that. So worst case scenario, we'll just go one person. As the one and only Jim Miller from Hawthorne steps in, he'll be joining us as well, analyst. If there's major problems with the echoes, you're watching at home, I apologize. Please let us know. We'll continue on with the show, and we'll try to work on the echo situation. The first race we're going to be tipping out, someone just said, we hear you just fine. Thank you, Brad Anderson. Brad Anderson is in the house from South Florida. Brad, hopefully you're having a good day. The 9 was endorsed, was not good for Matt Miller. For me, it was outstanding. I'll talk about why in just a minute. There's also the Pegasus Betting Challenge World Championships going on right now. It's a $5,000 entry. The first place gets $100,000. Myself and Matt Miller are playing that also. We'll talk about that as we go along. What we're going to do, guys, we're going to talk first about the next race. And then we have many other things we're going to discuss. And perhaps we'll bring in Jim Miller at some point to talk about race 11 if he would like. Because race 11, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are here live, this is the most important race of the day for me. This race right here is my play of the day. And should I say what I'm alive to, Matt, for the crowd?
Absolutely.
So I'm alive in the betting contest. This is not a joke. This is not bragging. I just want to let you know how important it is. If the 7 wins this race, I will win over $34,000 and be in the top 5 of the contest nationally. So the 7, I will be cheering extremely hard for the 7. I know he's a little bit of a long shot, but I think he's fascinating. She's fascinating in this race. Guys, let's break down race 11. Race 11 is a grade 3. It's the Pegasus Filly and Mare Turf. There's 3 Pegasus races today. This one's for the girls. The next one's for the boys on the turf. And then the last one, of course, is the Pegasus World Cup Betting Challenge. Before I go on my diatribe and why I like the 7, I want to hear from Kyle and Matt first. Kyle, we're going to let you go first. There are some major names and players in this race. You got Delika, the 2 horses 4-1, who won the Beverly City. Excuse me, that was not at Arlington. We won't talk about that. The number 3, Wakanaka, is a very nice filly. She's 2-1 right now. And then Shanta Sara, the morning line favorite, who is 2-1, which I would consider, Kyle, actually a bit on the soft side to me. What are your overall impressions in this race? You like number 3?
And I'll tell you exactly what I like, because I was extremely high on Wakanaka. If you watch the Wednesday podcast, this is where my entire day is going through, is through Wakanaka. And it's very nice to see her taking money early, but it sucks because that 5-1 was looking really nice earlier in the week. But again, it's hammered she's hammered in the double pools. She's hammered in the live pools. So I'm very happy that people are seeing exactly what I'm seeing, but it also kind of sucks. I just really think she sits a really nice trip in this race. And like I said, hopefully this pace actually develops, unlike last race, and we go from there. But I just think she sits a really nice trip and explodes at the top of the stretch.
Shanta Sara is a very nice horse. For those of you that are interested in betting Shanta Sara, let me just give you some information. Shanta Sara obviously was not very good last time. Chad Brown now we also interviewed Chad Brown. We've had great people on our podcast. If you're not familiar with the podcast, please go to YouTube and go to HHH Racing Podcast, subscribe. We interviewed Chad Brown about 2 months ago, a little while ago, actually. They were going to ship Shanta Sara to California. They ended up not doing that. I personally have some question marks. I think she's the most talented, but I don't know if she's going to want the firm turf, and I'm not sure about this layoff. I think she's got question marks. Matt, I know you and I talked quite a bit about this race. On the pick 4, Matt, we are against Shanta Sara on our main big ticket. We have Shanta Sara, Matt, on our backup ticket. So if Shanta Sara wins, that'd be okay for us, but we're all sort of against this horse, aren't we?
Yeah, very much so. I think there were a lot of risks that you articulated well. And clearly the price was not going to be very good. I do think, despite the win odds and the win pool, I think for purposes of the multi-race bets, this horse is going to get bet harder. So I think we're getting good value going elsewhere. I like Delika here. Not sure how much credibility I have left given my ability to predict the pace today, but I do think this 2 should hit the front. And if it doesn't get pressure, maybe set up well to go on. Otherwise, I actually think your horse looks terrific coming from behind.
I know Matt has always believed in Delika. My concern with Delika, for those of you who like the 2 here live and watching on YouTube, is she seems to be a need the lead type to me. If Delika does not get the lead, she doesn't run great, number 1. Number 2, Delika is best in Kentucky. Look at her races at Churchill and Kentucky Downs. That's the KD. They're great. Outside of the state of Kentucky, Delika is not great. And this Gulfstream turf course is a little bit funny. It's not as thick. It's not as lush. It's more firm. So Delika can win. I think the number 1, Artie's Princess, is going to be a pace player. I don't like Artie's Princess at all in the win end, but the first thing I'm going to do in this race, Kyle, is see what Jose Ortiz does on the 1. If the 1 sends and does not let Delika or Queen Goddess, the 6, get to the front, I think that really helps Wakanaka, Shanta Sara, and my top pick, which I'll talk about in a minute.
Absolutely, because not only does it develop a little more pace pressure, but that inside pace pressure coming from the rail to a horse like the 3 and the 6 in this race, or the 2, Delika, and the 6, Queen's Goddess, is absolutely massive to this race. If the 1 does not get out immediately with them 2, it might just be the 2 around the track, as we've seen with many weekends in a row here at Gulfstream. It seems to be like you need to be towards the front, which is why I think if they do fight up front, you're going to need someone towards the middle, not so much coming from completely out of the clouds, which is why I like your pick, Lady Rockstar, which is why I like my pick, Wakanaka. I think they sit that middle trip if that pace develops.
Again, as I mentioned, we're here with Kyle Roscoe and Matt Miller. Jim Miller, wonderful analyst, does many things at Hawthorne Racecourse, is also here. And Jim, whenever you want to pop onto the link, feel free. We'd love to have you on whenever you are ready and would like to talk about some of the races or anything about Club Hawthorne as well. Let me talk about Wakanaka. Wakanaka, the number 3, for those who don't know, there was a sickness, there was a herpes situation at Churchill. Wakanaka was supposed to run, ended up not running, and lost a few weeks of training. I am not going to sit here and tell you that Wakanaka cannot win. I'm just giving you information that the 3 did miss a few weeks of training, and trainer Bill Mott said he is slightly concerned about that. Is that trainer talk? What do you think about that? I don't know. Guys, let me talk about my top choice. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, here at the Crazy Boar OTB and home watching. If you would like to see a big score live in person, you're going to cheer with me on the 7. My top choice of the entire day as a price is the number 7, Lady Rockstar, Brendan Walsh, and Tyler Gaffleone. For those of you watching at home, usually I bring up the past performances. We're not doing that due to a bunch of technical reasons. But you can look at your PPs at home. Those of you, of course, here at the Crazy Poor Club Hawthorne Crazy Poor in Villa Park can look at it. Here are my reasons for Lady Rockstar, the number 7. Currently 7-1. She's an improving 5-year-old who just ran a big race last time off a 6-month layoff. She got a 94 buyer. That's the best buyer she got. I don't believe she's going to bounce. If you're a theory of the bounce theory, which means horses don't run as well, the next time she's 5 years old, I'm not concerned that she's going to regress. She was 3 to 4 wide every step of the way in that race and got run down late. I have questions about Shantasara and Wakanaka, the 3 and the 9. I don't think Dalika will win without the lead. I think there's going to be some pace. And if the pace develops and Lady Rockstar gets the right trip and improves, I think Lady Rockstar has a monster shot. And again, if Lady Rockstar wins, it's going to be huge for me in the National Pegasus Betting Challenge. I need Lady Rockstar to win. If she comes second or third and you bet her second or third, fantastic. I'm happy for you. I would use Lady Rockstar anywhere in exactas or trifectas. I think this is a very live horse. The pace does have to develop. She's a closer, but she's not going to come from that far back. So a combination of questions with some of the favorites and a progressive 5-year-old who's getting better and better and improving. I think Lady Rockstar can run a high 90s buyer, run the race of her lifetime, I'm hoping, and score for me. So that is my reasons for Lady Rockstar in race 11, the Pegasus Filly and Mare Turf. We're going to, any thoughts, Kyle or Matt, on Lady Rockstar? I'll let you guys chime in. Obviously, a few things have to go her way, but she has room to improve, and I'm not sure the other ones do. Kyle? Okay, we'll get Kyle back on in a second. Actually, let's go to Jim Miller before. Jim, little thumbs up, Jim. You're ready to go. Let's bring on, and we need a big round of applause for everyone here at the Club Hawthorne. Jim Miller is here. Jim has already got his grab. Maybe we got to get him on Bettin and Boozin, Kyle. So we got a little mic. We'll work that out. Jim, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. How are you doing today?
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for everybody for coming out today. This is an awesome venue here at Crazy Poor too. So awesome food. Great TV setup, just a really cool venue. This is the newest of our PointsBet sports books as well. So for those that are sports bettors, but I'll tell you this, I'm here to more or less listen in to these guys because of what they did the last time when they did that pool party, almost $6,000 for a return. So you definitely know they do their homework. I felt kind of bad, Howard, when I was first checking in here because the 7 Lady Rockstar was actually who I was on too, just looking at all the pace in this race. So and that was before you even mentioned anything. But it's one of those things where just pace makes the race. We were watching Gulfstream a little bit yesterday. You're seeing a lot of these guys that are pushing a little bit early on. And the track's played evenly, turf is played evenly, horses are coming back to the field. And I just think this is a race that could be a little bit of a fall apart race. So Lady Rockstar is the one that I went to here as well. But again, my input is only going to be just adding to what you guys are doing. I don't want to change any of your picks, any of your selections, anything. You guys know what you're doing. You made the money last time. But if anybody just has any questions about Crazy Poor or anything for Auburn, they can definitely ask me as well. And I'm going to sit here and enjoy you guys hopefully making some money.
Great. Jim, can you talk a little bit about some of the promotions? I know you and Emily already talked, have a great show now on Fridays that you're traveling around Illinois. Talk a little about what you're doing with Emily on Fridays, please.
Oh, sure, yeah. So we started a new thing called Club Hawthorne Live. It's on our YouTube channels every Friday. It goes from noon to 1 o'clock, and basically what we're doing is kind of trying to change things up a little bit for what everybody else does in the racing industry, where a lot of these other shows are more or less race preview type of shows, looking ahead to races the next day, derby preps, that kind of thing. what we're doing is we're covering races live in real time as horses are on the track, talking about betting strategies, talking about how we may think the race may unfold, looking at the favorite to see if it's a favorite that provides value or a favorite that you can easily beat, and then just talking about different tendencies that go into handicap. I handicap a little bit differently from Emily. I work off the daily racing form, past performances a lot. I work off the trick notes a lot. Emily uses the optics grids, and it's one of the things that she relies on too for a pace setup and pace scenario. But we're talking through these in real time as things are going on, as the race is going on. We're talking about trick notes that we may take or things that we see throughout the course of the race. And it's more or less trying to help educate a little bit for those that are just getting into racing, getting into betting horses, kind of how you can look at the horses, how you can look at how a race may unfold, and then some betting strategies. We had a race yesterday, for example, where there was a favorite that we felt was going to win, and it didn't. We said this is a race, maybe work multi-race wagers around for a horse. We had other races where there were a lot of very vulnerable favorites, and we try to find those prices underneath that you can tie together, hook up in a nice gimmick, and try to make a score there. So there's different strategies from race to race, from track to track, from how tracks play too, and it's something we're trying to cover, and basically do it just within a 1 hour time frame. We can 6 races in 1 hour, so there's a lot to cover, a lot that goes on in racing, but it's something that is. It's a lot of fun. I think it was a great job. It's something that I thoroughly enjoy talking racing and to be able to do it every single time. To be able to have the coordination from other racetracks around the country to allow us to do that is something that you don't see a lot too in the industry. Racetracks should run promotions from one racetrack to another, and I can tell you this: there are 4 racetracks that we requested to get races from in those days. 3 of the 4 said yes. The other one said no. So there's a couple of racetracks that want that promotion and want us to help them out. So we're happy to do so.
No, Jim does a great job. He's been on our show several times. We're very proud to have Hawthorne Racecourse as an official sponsor as well of the HHH Racing Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I just did draw a raffle because this person is going to get a free 1 month to our Power Picks. Jim Miller knows about the Power Picks as well. They're very profitable. So this person gets 1 free month of our Power Picks tip sheet, which comes out on Saturdays. And the winner of that is Matt Tadla from Plainfield, Illinois.
Yeah.
Congratulations for your email. We'll send out your email. Congratulations to Matt, who now has 1 month of fantastic picks, free subscriptions. So congratulations to Matt Tadla. Here's what we're going to do on YouTube. We're going to take a short break here on YouTube. There's 2 minutes to post to the Pegasus Filly and Mare Turf race. We'll come back right before the race starts. Hang with us, everyone. We're going to be watching the race live along with you here. We are having so much fun here at the pool party, Club Hawthorne, at Crazy Poor. OTB, round of applause for them here at the pool party. We will be back in just a few moments, everyone.
And for your all benefit, if this 7 horse wins, you should take out your phones and get a reaction shot of Howard. You had never seen anyone go as crazy.
We're back here at the Crazy Pour OTB at Villa Park, Illinois. Of course, I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Race 11 is coming up in a few minutes. Now, for everyone here in the room, this is big for our pick 4. We really need to beat the 9. 2, 3, or 7 would be good. 2 or 7 would be best for our pick 4. So in terms of our pick 4s that could cash for the entire room, 2 or 7 would be best. Either one of those would be absolutely amazing for our pick 4s. The 3 would also be good. The 9 would be the least of the horses we want. If the 6 wins, find me some Kleenex. That would be very bad for all of us. We still have plenty of money to bet here, but the 6 would knock us out of our pick 4. So we clearly do not want the 6 to win. Jim Miller, I just want to ask you a quick question when you come on here. I know we didn't want to talk about handicapping, Jim, but I do have to ask Jim Miller a question here. I talked about the one with Jose Ortiz. If you were the trainer or the jockey, the one who's really coming out of synthetic sprint races, don't you have to send here, Jim? You really have no other option, don't you?
Well, that's your only option, really, and that's the thing that's a little scary because you have the talent of a horse like Delica right next to you. But that was the reason why I thought this could be a fall-apart race. You have some horses that are very good, solid race horses throughout the course of their career, and that's their running style. That's how they win. Take the top and try to go every step of the way. But when you get these horses that are stretching out in distance, you get that inside draw, you're kind of forced. You either have to go, or looking at a race like this, you're probably going to be buried sitting back there last second to last. So I think they're probably going to have to push through. It's kind of Ortiz's style a little bit too. So try to get out of the gate, push things along a little bit. Here's the thing, it does make it scary for some of these other horses, because if he does push out there, and all of a sudden in the mile 16th race in the turf, you're looking at 23 for an opening quarter, it's going to be a complete fall-apart race, but I think there is potential for that to happen.
The other thing, Jim, Hawthorne has pretty tight turns on their turf course. This is on the inner part of the turf course at Gulfstream. With tight turns, you really have to save ground and then tip out. That's probably the best trick, right? Save ground all the way around the turn and tip out late in the lane.
Here's the thing that killed me with Gulfstream was when they put that synthetic surface in, because that outer turf course had kind of a bigger swooping type of turns. And it was a very cool course. It was one of those things that made it tough to watch those dirt races in a turn because you could only see about half the horse going through the turn. But they were 2 different courses. Now it is. It's an inside course. It's a tighter course. We watched the maiden races yesterday where horses didn't handle the turns at all. So you have to be a talented type of runner. You have to know the course a little bit too.
If you're watching at home, I know we're about 6 or 7 seconds behind. So as we talk about the race, if you're watching at home on YouTube, I know that we are behind and you are ahead. So you will know. Everyone in this room, we need the 2 or 7. The 3 would be okay also. The 9 would probably be the least of the ones we want. The 6 would be a disaster. For yours truly, if the 7 wins, I'm going to be very happy. Let's just put it that way. Here we go. It's the Pegasus
We're going to Sizzler.
Filly and Mare Turf Invitational, mile 16th, live from Gulfstream. They are almost all in the gate. Come on, Lady Rockstar. Do it for me, honey.
It would
Come
just
on,
be,
7.
it's big for my ego if the 3 wins. All right, here we go. All right, they're off. The 4 goes to the lead. Delica's going on the inside as well, and the 1 is now pressing the button as well. So it might be 3. The 4 might clear Delica here.
Lady Rockstar is a good spot. I like the spot. Looks like there is some speed that's developing. Lady Rockstar is in the 2 path. I wish she was on the rail, but I like where she is right now. You've got a long shot here on the lead. That's number 4, Sweet Enough. Delica is stalking. They go 23 and 3 for the first quarter. Not flying, not that slow either. Delica's in second right now, stalking. Queen Goddess is getting a fantastic trip right now, for sure. You got behind that, you got you've got Wakanaka and Lady Rockstar, and then you have the 8 and the 9 behind that. They won 48. This pace is really not developing. If Lady Rockstar wins from there, she absolutely will deserve it. They're about to go 3 across the track, so this might speed things up a little bit. They went, the third quarter time is going to flash up here. They're 1. Here we come. Come on, Lady. Come on. Queen This is how looking good at all for us. This is complete disaster. Queen Goddess is going to win, of course. This is not good at all. Lady Rockstar finishes third. Shantasar second. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Complete and total, utter disaster. It is very quiet in this room. Queen Goddess wins at 4-1. Shantasara didn't run badly. She just couldn't get there. Wakanaka was absolutely awful. And Lady Rockstar actually ran perfectly fine, finishing third. Unfortunately for everyone in the room, we do not have the 6 at all in the second leg. So this is not all of our tickets, everyone. This is not our entire bankroll. We got plenty of money to spend for everyone out there. I'm a little deflated, guys. I think I took my mic off. Kyle,
That was awful.
Don't be stressed. It's okay, Howard. It happens. Lady Rockstar got a perfect trip. Ran a very good race. Got enough pace to run after. The horse moved up 3 wide. And the 6 was just the best horse. Don't be too upset, Howard.
I mean, the 6 got the perfect trip. I mean, right behind the speed. Wakanaka got completely stopped at the top of the stretch. She had nothing, nowhere to go. Shantasara ran a good race, couldn't get there, running all the way from the back in the pace that didn't really develop. I mean, it's just the way it is. The horse got the best trip. And again, coming back, I probably wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Made it.
And the 10th horse that we got the least. 25 was at the ring. So that's how it goes here.
let me try that. Matt, can you hear us now through the speaker
good.
there, Matt? Matt, can you hear us now? Check 1, 2.
You're good. You're good.
All good.
We decided the 6 is the one we didn't use.
Yeah, that was a complete disaster. I mean, we've been miserable all day. We've saved a bunch of budget money, and we've got a couple races to make something out of this.
Absolutely.
I'm not too worried yet.
For those of you that are here live with Crazy Poor OTB, what you see on the board was $435. We still have $565 left to spend. So no worries. We got time. That was a bummer. We got to move on. You got to move on, right? Just like for you golfers out there, we had a bad shot, next shot, okay? Move on. We can't dwell on it. That's the way it goes. Louis Saez, guys, gave a fantastic ride. She was in a perfect spot the whole time. I was right that I didn't like Delika. I didn't like Shantasara on top. This is a crazy game where you can be right on so many levels, but also be wrong, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like you said, you thought the pace was going to develop exactly like it did. It did a little bit through the first quarter, and they just completely slowed it up in the second quarter. Nothing you can do about it. Lady Rockstar and Wakanaka both got a great trip. Lady Rockstar went to the outside. Wakanaka went to the inside. She got stopped. She just couldn't make it with the no pace pressure, and that's the way it is. It just seems like every time we think a pace pressure comes, nothing happens, but it's just the way it goes. So on to the next race. Let's make some money.
We'll have to watch the replay. It didn't look like the one broke very well and then rushed up. I don't know if Delika didn't break great either. We've seen this a few times now, Matt, where the speed's not breaking. You can't handicap that. Jim Miller knows that. You have to read what's in the PPs. You don't know how they're going to break. But when the race doesn't develop, Matt, from a pace situation or a race flow situation, it really makes handicapping difficult.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things about watching races at home, how my wife will look at me 3 seconds into a race and I'll say I've already lost. She'll wonder how that's possible, but the start is critical to so many of these horses. Just like Delika there, if they don't get out, like you said, if she doesn't have the lead, she's probably not going to win. So that was a rough one right from the beginning.
Well, hopefully someone out there had Queen Goddess the 6. Maybe people are smarter out there than we were. We've tipped out some very good horses so far here on our podcast pool party. Queen Goddess was not one of them. Michael McCarthy, by the way. Michael McCarthy is just – I can't say he's underrated. He is one of the best trainers in the country. They just don't talk about him as much as they should. He's not a huge stable, but that horse was absolutely ready to roll, got a dream trip. Shantasara actually ran just fine. I think, they want to run this horse, Kyle, all year long. She ran just fine. I wouldn't be too discouraged. I just thought she was a bad bet on the win end. And as it turns out, Wakanaka did go off the favorite, Kyle, at 2-1. So it was the top 5 choices were 1 through 5, not in that betting order, but the logical horses were in the money. And Lady Rockstar was the longest of those 5 horses that I liked. I thought she ran a very credible third. No disgrace there at all.
No, and I mean, like you said, it's just the way that the pace sets up. We thought exactly like it happened. And as I continue to say, Lady Rockstar got a good trip, just couldn't get there. Wakanaka got put in jail by Joel, and it's the way it rolls. But Dalika, again, like Howard said, she's a need the lead type. It kind of looks like she's a great fighter and an absolutely great horse. She had an absolutely great career, as we all know that this was her last race. But just not the best. I mean, like I said, Queen Goddess just had the best trip, and that's the way it goes. There's no other way to look at it for me.
A few people on the chat here on the YouTube channel mentioned that Shantasara broke slow. I know she was very wide. I mean, she had excuses, but she's a closer. And Kyle, you and I also talked about the fact that she might want longer. We weren't sure about the firm turf. There was just a lot of things that were signaling not bet the source on top.
Yeah, and absolutely. Like I said, I had her completely out of it, as if you watched on Wednesday. And if before the race, obviously on the show, I didn't even have her on my top 3. I had 3, 2, 6, just because of that sole fact that I thought she ran a lot better with a lot more cut in the ground. She ran a lot better at like a mile and 3/8, a mile and an eighth, and stuff like that. A lot of longer distances than this race was. I thought she was a good play for underneath. Granted, she was 5-2, but I just didn't want to play her on the win end, so I completely agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way it goes. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to, Matt and Kyle, I'm going to talk to everyone a little bit about race 12. And as that's happening, we have $565 left to bet. So I'm going to let you two discuss what you'd like to do. I know Matt knows my opinions of the next 2 races. So Matt and Kyle, I'll go ahead and take you guys actually off screen right now. Let you guys talk about what you'd like to do for the pool party. We have $565 to bet, and I'll go and spitball and talk a little bit about race 12. So Matt and Kyle will be back. Let me remove them from the screen. We still have Jim Miller here as well from the, of course, Hawthorne race course. And Jim, I know you said you're here not to handicap, so I won't ask you too many pressing questions, but Matt Miller could just look at the form and give you a nice price in like a matter of seconds, probably. So before we, I don't know if he has the form. Matt, do you have the form in front of you at all?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, great. So, Jim, as I'm going to go ahead and bring up the PPs myself, the next race, race 12. And before we get to that, Jim, sorry. Everyone in the room, we do have another raffle coming. This is going to be a $25 win bet. A $25. Did the win bet come in, by the way, in race 10? Did not. Okay. We need to know who that is, FYI, for this next 2 races when they to who the bet is. So the next raffle is going to be a $25 win bet in race 12, the Pegasus World Cup Turf for the boys, and also a swag bag. Again, it'll be a $25 win bet and a swag bag. We'll talk about that, Jim, in just a few minutes. Let's first talk about race 12 so we can get everyone some winners here. It's a great one, Jim. It's $1 million purse. Everyone should know this is invitational only. So not everyone can enter, Jim. So in theory, these are the best horses that are currently in training right now in the United States, plus a Grand Motion horse coming over from Europe. Grand Motion's got 2 in the race, and the American horse, actually the one I'm very interested in. Jim, what are your quick impressions of this race?
Well, the first thing looking at the race, pace scenario-wise, is much different from the race that we just saw. The last race, we just saw 4 or 5 horses that had the potential to make the lead, and there were actually 4 out there early on pushing things along. You look at this race on the turf, there's not nearly as much speed. It looks like the 3-a-tone is maybe one that's going to show a little bit of speed. One more bid, maybe it's a horse that stalks the pace a little bit with Decorated Invader, but nobody else is really committed to the front. So that was the thing that scared me about a couple of horses here, because the Tone is a horse that I think is going to provide a little bit of value. You're coming in off a little bit of a layoff as well. The thing about a Tone, though, is you do see that little bit of a layoff, too. Now, you're coming back off the layoff, but then it's a consistent work pattern leading towards the return. This is a horse that the works have been pretty solid coming back. this is the one horse in the race that's probably going to be committed to the front as well. So I don't think the pace will be nearly as quick as what we just saw in the Philly and Mare event. I think they'll probably go a little bit slower, maybe 24-1 in the opening quarter, and then kind of cruise along and see how things unfold. But some of the talented horses and the more talented runners are horses that can run on late. Ivar, I think, is the most talented and the most consistent of the field. But you're going to have to get back to some of those races that you saw maybe at the end of 2020 out of Ivar, when the horse rated much closer to the pace than that recent running style where it's sitting a little bit further back. So have to see how things unfold pace scenario-wise. But first impression, at least, Howard of the race, not nearly as much pace as what we just saw in that Philly and Mare event.
Well, and Ivar's a closer, Jim, so that's not going to do him any favors. Now, here are the horses, Jim, that Ivar has been facing / lost to.
Right.
Modern Games, Annapolis, you got Space Blues, In Love, Order of Australia, Raging Bull. I mean, he has tons the class.
Yes.
But this extra eighth a mile, Jim, for those of you that are here and watching at home, explain to people the difference between the mile and eighth. And it's a fallacy, right, that the longer distance will help a closer because they do better running late. But usually milers have a quicker turn of foot, and mile and eighth horses are usually a little bigger in size and a little more grindy. So extra distance does not necessarily help closers.
No, extra distance doesn't necessarily help closers by any means. If anything, when there's a lack of pace in the race, it helps those horses that are able to go out there and cruise along on the front end. Because these are horses that want to get out of the gate and kind of find that running position and then just catch that breather early on. And they just kind of cruise along. But when you watch races, basically going into the first turn, everybody's just trying to find that position so they're not hung so wide into that first turn. The run down the backside is just maintaining that spot. The real running really doesn't happen until maybe even the half-mile bull or the 3/8 bull into the wire. So it's working out that trip over the course of that first 3/4 of a mile. But the extra distance, it's only really going to help that closer if you do have so much pace in the race that things fall apart. But really, when you're looking at kind of how things unfold in here, you're right. Ivar, if you're going off of, like I said, I work off the daily racing form and past performances. There's so many triple-digit buyers in there. There's other horses that have never run a triple-digit buyer. So class-wise, this is the horse that is the one that figures. Now, one race at this distance, though, Howard, and you look at that race, and it's something that you have to worry about here. It was back in Churchill at the Turf Classic last May. And the horse settled back early on, and you saw it kind of picked up a little bit of ground, finished 6th, beat a couple of lengths, and they're close to 97 buyers. All these other races are basically at a mile, where you do have a little bit more speed, a quicker turn of foot, the horse is able to close in the lane. I still think Ivar's the class of the field, but again, when you have a race like this where there's not a ton of pace, you have to look at somebody that may be able to either make the top or sit very close early on and get comfortable and then do that running and the turning into the lane.
Yeah, and a Tone is one of those horses that can do that. Right now, a Tone, the 3 for Michael Maker.
Yeah, 6-1-2 on a Tone opening up, so you do see some early action, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. 6-1. Irad probably has something to do with that. Sorry, Eclipse winning jockey Irad Ortiz probably has something to do with that as well. The current favorite. Well, let's talk about some speed. You mentioned, Jim, that my gut feeling is you're suggesting that you want someone up close to win this race. Let's talk about Lady Spitespear, Jim. Lady Spitespear ran a monster race at Keelan in the Breeders' Cup Philly and Mare Turf. I didn't really love her that day. She went off at 32-1, ran huge, only lost to Tuesday in Italian. Here's my question, Jim, that I have. Lady Spitespear right now is 9-2. One of our wonderful co-hosts, Paul Halloran, picks this horse on top. 2 questions for me, Jim. Where did that number come from? Because she is not a 103 buyer kind of horse. And the other thing I want to bring up is the weight situation. She gets in for 118, and she could have gone in the girls' race. Instead, she goes here. So I have mixed opinions on Lady Spitespear. I still have Lady Rockstar in my mind here. Gets weight, but is stepping up in theory in class, and also has to run back to that number again.
All right, here's the question. Do the connections think that Lady Spitespear is just that much better that you're going to choose this $1 million event over that $500,000 event? Because if you just win the $500,000 event, you're getting $300,000 for the top prize. So for here, you're going to have to win to make more than what the winner's share would have been in the last race. If you run second, you're getting $200,000 out of this $1 million event. So the connections must think that this horse is very good. Now, that was a huge number in that last out. That was a huge number back early in November in the Philly and Mare Turf. And then after that, again, some time away from the track. I don't know if the horse can repeat the performance, but again, pace complexion-wise, and this is something that I'm sure connections are looking at too as well, Howard. If you're looking at who's going in the other race, because again, this is an invitational race. They can say, hey, who's in that filly in their race? And they can take a look at the horses in the race and see, okay, the race that we could have been in had 4 or 5 other horses that had a very similar running style to us. Maybe that race doesn't work out as well. Whereas this race, if they can get invited into and say, hey, who's coming in this race? Maybe the pace scenario is a little bit better. That could be the reason a horse like Lady Spicer ends up in there. You have that benefit of an invitational race over a race that's just open entry. So that could be something connections might have asked that question, and maybe it's a reason you have to consider the horse a little bit in this spot too.
Now, their intent is very big in this game, and Jim, of course, you know that. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that goes on that the public is not necessarily privy to. Let's talk about the number 12.
Yeah.
The current favorite right now is the number 12 City Man, very soft favorite at 3-1. Most people in this room probably are not aware of this. Jim, I think you're aware of this, but I own pieces of some horses with the Clement barn. I know Miguel Clement very well. He's the assistant trainer and son of Christophe Clement. I'm a huge fan of the Clements in general. I think Christophe Clement should be in the Hall of Fame. It should happen this year.
Yeah.
That all being said, here we go. I know people, I can see a few people's faces out there like, I want to get some doubts after the last race. I am so much against this horse, Jim, I cannot begin to tell you. And I'll explain why, and you can feel free to expound. City Man got the dream trip of trips last time. I mean, unbelievable trip last time. He's a very good horse. He's as honest as they've come. He could absolutely win this race, but gambling is about value, Jim. And at 3-1 from the 12 hole in a much more difficult field, absolutely no bueno for me.
If you told me City Man was going to be 3-1 and Ivar was 9-2, I'd be shocked. I mean, at 9-2, a horse like Ivar is probably worth at least using on tickets here. You made a very good point on City Man, and I like this horse. I picked this horse last time. For those of us on our ESPN, I had this horse in that last out. And 3-1 was decent there. That was a grade 2 field, not nearly the type of horses that you're facing in here. Like you mentioned, that was a dream trip. I'm a little bit surprised actually to see in the comments that they said steady in the quarter. To me, if anything, I would have said waited at the quarter because everybody else stand wide. It was just Rosario, wait. All of a sudden the rail opened up and this horse just exploded through and went onto the win. It was a perfect trip, a dream trip. But you look at it too, this was a horse that was sitting 3 lengths off the pace and they went 46-4 to the half. I don't think they're going 46-4 to the half there. I think you're going to be somewhere around maybe 48 to the half. So pace is going to be a little bit slower. I think City Man will still be up close to the pace. This is a big step up in class though, Howard, and that's something that I think bettors are overlooking a little bit. We'll see if the horse jumps up and wins. This would be a favorite that I would say is maybe a false favorite too, and I would look elsewhere also.
Jim, 9-2 on Ivar to me is a signal that says go away. I mean, I thought he'd be 5-2, maybe 3-1. People are not betting Ivar, so I don't know. Maybe the public is not as smart as they should be here, but I have negative feelings about Ivar, especially with 9-2. I think if he was really live and just ready to go and well meant, he'd be lower odds. So again, people have to decide what to do. Before we talk more about this race, Jim, everyone here that's live at Club Hawthorne Craze for OTB, I have just pulled the winner of the $25 win bet in this race 12. So when I call your name, come on up here. We've got a Club Hawthorne swag bag for you. It's got a lot of great stuff in it. And also you will have a $25 win bet. You will tell your win bet to Kyle Roscoe here to my left, and he will make that bet for you. The winner of a swag bag and $25 free win bet goes to Brian Vlasovich. Where's Brian? Brian, come up here. Give it down for Brian. Congratulations, Brian. We're just giving away the money today. Brian, congratulations. You will tell Kyle your $25 win bet and hold on to the ticket, and then we'll announce it for you. Congratulations. And Brian, come on over here. Brian, you can take a swag back here along the table. Just one. All right, congratulations. All right, Jim, we're just pouring the money and the free goodies are just pouring out here. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a short break here on the YouTube channel. We're going to collect our breaks. Partially, Jim, because even though that 7 didn't work out well for me, I do have a decent bankroll left for the Pegasus Bang Challenge. I got to figure out what the heck to do. So we're gonna take a quick break here on the YouTube channel. We'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes. We are live here at the Crazy Pour OTB in Villa Park, Illinois. We will be back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back at Club Hawthorne Crazy Pour OTB with Jim Miller, Matt Miller, Kyle Roscoe will be joining us. We just made some bets here for the people here. There's a horse that I haven't talked about yet that I like underneath, the number 7, Speaking Scout. We still have time. This is another progressive horse. For those of you that are here in the room, if you believe in what you see on the PPs or you believe in my analysis, I think the 7 is fascinating underneath. I don't think the 7 can win, but I think the 7 can absolutely finish second or third. He's getting better and better. Jimmy just won at the Hollywood Derby. He got a sneaky trip. The 7 has been working in company with the 4 and working well. So if you like the 4, you should, in theory, like the 7 as well. The 7 is a mid-pack horse. And Speaking Scout, Jim, if you remember this horse, this is the Hawthorne Invitational Specials. Speaking Scout won a race here several months ago in a big contest right here in this room, and Chris Larmy cashed in, if you remember, Jim. So let me bring you on screen here. Jim, of course, remember what happened. Maybe you can replicate that today.
Well, I don't know if that horse is the same class as these here either for Speaking Scout. I mean, Speaking Scout, perfect trip at Hawthorne. But here's the thing. Like you mentioned, the Hawthorne course is very similar to this course in all. Tighter turns, maybe the running style will allow the horse to get a dream trip. You're going to need an absolute dream trip for Speaking Scout to win here. So 20 to 1 is probably what figures more. I thought 8 to 1 was a bad one in line. This is 20 to 1 title horse here for me.
Who's your top choice, Jim, as they finish their gate load?
You know, I'm still sticking with the class of the race. I'm sticking with Ivar just because of 4 to 1. I think the tone probably fits a little bit better here at that price at 5 to 1, up at 12 to 1 morning line. So everybody's going to see just what pick scenario it's going to be, but I'm going to hope for Ivar to maybe settle a little bit closer around that line.
The raffle winner has Ivar. So good luck to our raffle. Was it Brian, correct? Brian? Good luck to Brian. If Brian has the 10, so you guys can cheer on Brian. He'll win about $100. Actually, the price just went down. That big $25 bet just went down. went down to 7 to 2. Good luck to everyone. I'm going to 3 a tone on top. It's a soft pick. I think the 7 is fascinating as a bomb play underneath. The Pegasus World Cup Turf, $1 million. King Cause goes in at 70 to 1. Enjoy the race, folks. Let's see what happens. And a horse is going in backwards. Jim, have you ever seen a horse win a race running backwards? They're off. The 5 took the lead. This is one more bid, and King Cause. How about 35 to 1 over 70 to 1 into the first turn? Let's see, just tracking behind, Witt is much closer than he has been. Witt is in 3rd in a very good spot. Lady Spitespear also in a good spot in 4th. Atone is on the inside in a good spot in 5th. Mike Longshot, Speaking Scout, also in a good spot. They went 23-1, so they're moving, guys.
I think the pace is a little bit quicker than I would have expected.
They are moving 23-1, 47-1. They slowed it down a bit, but I'd say it's pretty fair one. Atone got bets out of 7 to 2 as the favorite in this race. That's way too low for me.
Horse was favored in the double pool as well.
They're approaching the far turn here in just a few seconds. You still got one more bid. King Cause is in a perfect spot. Tracking is Lady Spitespear. You've got behind Witt. Yet Ivar's in a real good spot with Atone and Speaking Scout. Now the question is going to be on the third.
I guys before they we'll see. There comes
A tone wins Pegasus race for $1 million. Ivar game second. Speaking Scout, my bottom underneath finished third. If you have Speaking Scout, this is great for everyone here in this room because we have the three. Wins the last race. Everyone in this room here at the Crazy Global Crazy Poor OTB will share $3,630. So we really could use that in the last race. It's amazing, guys, how much the public knows Jim. I would never take 7-2 on this horse. Michael Maker again, Irad again. They're masterful.
Here's the thing, you look back at the race and we said early on, okay, there wasn't a ton of pace and I thought a Tone would be out there cruising on the lead, and all of a sudden you had a couple of horses wing it out there and get 23 to the opening quarter, and the jock did a perfect job, settled back off that pace there, got a dream trip. I think Ivar had a dream trip too. I think they thought they were the best horse, rated a little bit closer there, swooped up the low wide, stayed clear the whole way. I think they're probably going to come out of this race and say that they were surprised that they got caught by that horse, because they really have no excuses for Ivar either.
Jim, let's bring Matt and Kyle here. I thought there were a lot of clean trips. I thought it was a cleanly run race. We give a shout out to Speaking Scout. I know a lot of people on this podcast. Kyle, we talked about it. You knew this was one of my prize plays. He's on our tip sheet. I said use this horse underneath. Ran a very credible race. I think the distance got to Ivar, who took the lead at the top of the stretch. That was very predictable that he'd run well, but just couldn't see out the 9 panels.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we talked about, not only on the show, but right before this race is, that one question for Ivar. We all know how good of a horse he is running, Breeders' Cup and back-to-back. All the races he's run, it's just the distance numbers. What's going to be the question here? In a Tone, just absolutely masterfully ridden by Irad, gets him over the top at the final 16th, just like you kind of predicted here, both off at 7-2, and a good score for everybody here. Like I said, let's just get Cyberknife home in the last for everybody.
I could also, Matt Miller, use Cyberknife in the last race. I have a double that I'll talk about in a little bit. Matt, we thought Lady Spites were as interesting. I thought she'd show more speed. I thought she would just go to lead. She didn't. But, I read Ortiz. This guy, Matt, I know a lot of people criticize him because sometimes he has questionable rides. He likes to bully people a little bit on the track. The guy just knows how to ride. I don't think, and Jim, I'd like you to expound on this because you've been around a long time. I'm 51 years old. In terms of turf horses, turf jockeys, one of the best turf jockeys I can remember in my lifetime is Corey Nakatani. I think Irad, Jim, is right up there with C-Knock at his best. This guy just has such a clock in his head. It's unbelievable.
You got to talk about too, just that willingness to kind of stay tight, try to just be patient and work your way through a hole. So many times, especially some of the smaller circuits, you see a lot of times in Hawthorne, there's guys that are going to take the easy route. There's guys that aren't going to tuck behind horses. They're going to try to kind of sit there and just swoop. And it's something where you lose a little bit of ground and it costs you again. When you go back and watch the replay of this race, Howard, watch the trip that Irad gives to Tone. He's not afraid to tuck in behind horses. He's not afraid to wait and save ground, and then just kind of hope that you get that room in the end, and then maybe work your way through for that trip. We saw for a long time here in Illinois out of Renee Douglas. He was a guy who was very good at just being very patient and waiting and getting that trip in the end. Every once in a while, it doesn't work out. Those are the rides that everybody criticizes online, and they do it time and again and again. But then you get rewarded with a trip like this. And Mr. Dorset, everybody really kind of backed it all the way down to 7-2. A dream trip here is the reason why a horse like this wins by a half lane. If you make that overland route trip, you're probably running 17 and a half lanes. So the rider's going to make the difference in there.
No, I mean, people criticize other jockeys for being too patient, like Giroux sometimes gets criticized for waiting too long and Leperoux. But Irad waits also, but Jim, he just knows when to push the button. When you have to be patient, but he just knows when to push the button. I can't say enough good things about this guy. I would never bet this horse at 7-2 on the win end. I've liked him. I've chased the Tone many times. I do have him in a double with Cyberknife. But again, just hats off to Michael Maker too. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what this exacta pays actually, because I think it's going to provide decent value for 7-2 over 7-2. Here's the thing too, when everyone's criticizing riders, you have to take into regard, this is a 110-pound man riding a 1,000-pound animal going 35 miles per hour on two-inch wide pieces of metal that they're balancing themselves on, usually with a whip in one hand. So you're making a whole lot of split-second decisions, and that only 21 on the exact. That's very good. That's not good for you for 7-2 over 7-2 in a race like that. But these riders, it's split-second decisions. These are guys that it's split-second decisions where if you make the wrong decision, it can lead to injury, it can lead to career and stuff. So give them a little bit of credit too. The best of the best are willing to put themselves in a little bit tighter and work their way through. Like, it's not an easy job by any means, and I'll tell you, I think the reason why he's as good as he is. Hey, speaking scout, 24-1 there, finishing third hour.
I didn't have time to play the try, but I did a little bit place and show, which I don't usually do on Speaking Scout. But, Kyle, it's not just about who you have on top. If you're a vertical player and you like to play exactas, you like to play trifectas, Speaking Scout is the perfect horse to use underneath in this reverse key backfield play that we talked about 1,000 times. If you follow our show, as you know, Kyle, you take one horse you like. It doesn't have to be a bomb. Key him only in second or third. I don't know what this try is going to pay, but Speaking Scout just really spiced up the try.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, I call it the Howard Special. I don't know. Like I said, I know all the people on the followers of the podcast know it's exactly what this is. Exactly the race that shapes up for a bet like that. This horse is 24-1. You know this horse might not get all the way up to the win end, but it has enough closing kick to be able to get maybe somewhere second or third. So what you'll key him in second, key him in third, and you'll place the horses you like above him, behind him, and all that stuff. And then this is a perfect example. Obviously, it'd be better if this horse got second, but still, 24-1 is definitely going to spice up your try over a horse like Lady Spitespear at 9-2.
Matt, we have plenty of time to talk about the Pegasus in the last race, but for people that are home watching on YouTube, can you explain very quickly what you and Kyle did with our last $565? That ended up being a very good result for us, and now we're going to pray for one horse in the last.
All right, you have to give yourself some chance to put yourself in a position to be happy with. Cyberknife is the pick for the last race, and so we basically looked at that last field and thought that the favorite was vulnerable. We took what we thought were 4 price shots, and we bet daily doubles. We varied the amounts we bet to get similar payouts so that we were roughly rooting for these horses equally. So it happened to work out. It was pretty close, but we did all right.
Now, as you know, Matt, my math is pretty good, and it better be since I'm a high school math teacher. For everyone in the room, and we can get clarification from the wonderful Hawthorne people, Dakota, and everyone else, we are live, I believe, to 36:30, and there are close to 60 people that have bought in. So if my math is correct, we're talking about 60, somewhere around 60, a little more than $60 per person, I believe, and Kyle's doing the calculations right now. Should be somewhere around $60 for every person in this room if the 10 Cyberknife wins. We would have loved to have, of course, more than that, but that's okay. A profit's a profit. So if Cyberknife wins, everyone in this room will get approximately $60 walking away, buying in for $35, and getting appetizers, and hearing the wonderful docile tones of a Jim Miller live, and Kyle Roscoe, and Matt Miller, and everyone. So, again, everyone in the room here is going to be cheering for the 10. I will say selfishly, in the Pegasus betting contest, I'm allowed to about $9,000 to Cyberknife. So, obviously, I need Cyberknife as well. I'll be making some other bets in the last race. I think we should do this. I think now is a great time to do this. By the way, Brian, great try with Ivar. Brian, a $25 win bet. Ivar ran huge, Brian. Sorry he didn't score for you, but you got some swag out of it. So congratulations to Brian on that. We are going to choose our last raffle here in just a moment. So again, we're going to pick out of the box. This is the grand prize winner. The winner of this particular raffle will receive a $50 win bet in the big race in the Pegasus, come up here to Kyle Roscoe. He'll make the bet for you and hold on to the ticket and swag bag also. So this person can win hundreds of dollars if you can find the right horse. If your name is picked, this is very fair. I'm just picking it. I'm not even looking. Who wants to win the $50 win? Anyone out there? Who wants to
Ooh.
The winner, I don't know what this is strange. The winner of the $50 win bet in the Pegasus and swag bag is Brian Seller from Carroll Stream, Illinois. Brian Seller or Keller, Carroll Stream, Illinois. So I don't know. We'll need Dakota or someone from Hawthorne. Apparently he's not in the room. He's over there. Wait, if he's not in the room, I think we should pick someone else, right?
Yeah.
We'll have to check with the stewards on that one. Pick another one? Okay. Oh, we're picking another one, folks. All right.
Redo.
All right, we're going to pick another one here, folks. All right. This should not be a Brian, and I'd love it to be a female here. That'd be nice, too.
Yep. Oh, he's here. Wait.
Brian? Oh, boy. We got to check with the stewards. Dakota, we're going here. Okay. Brian Seller. Congratulations. All right. So I'll tell you what. One that I just picked, I'm going to take care of you, too, for something. So just in a minute. So, Brian, congratulations. You're going to tell Kyle you get a $50 win bet in this last race. Just tell him who you want. He'll hold on to the ticket and then come back after the race if you cash. You also got a swag bag here from Hawthorne Racecourse. Congratulations, man. And when you have your $50 pick, just tell Kyle he'll make it. He'll make
whoever
the bet
you want. It's got 40 minutes. Whoever you want, just come up to me
Yeah,
and
we
let me
got
know. I'll
plenty
make
of
the bet.
I'll tell you what. So the other person, I'm going to give a $25 win bet to. $25. We're fair here. I did legitimately pick someone. This is just going to come out of Matt Miller will pay for it. No, we'll take care of you. I'll pay for it. $25. Mary Profita. Are you here? Mary Profita from Lombard? Give her a hand, everyone. From Lombard, Illinois. Mary, congratulations. You got a $25 win bet in this race. You got plenty of time whenever you're ready. Let Kyle know the number, and he'll make the bet for you and hold on to the ticket for you. All right? Good luck,
They're going to
Mary.
go one. Let's go.
$25 win bet. We'll take care of that here. Give me just. All right. So that's the deal. We have a lot of time to talk about the
Yes, we do.
last race of the day, the Pegasus World Cup. There's 38 minutes to post. We're not going to be talking here on YouTube for 38 minutes. Yours truly has some big decisions to make. So I'm going to partially toss a bunch of this over. I'm going to look at Matt and Jim and Kyle. They're going to be talking a lot about this race because I have some big bets that I need to make for the Pegasus Championship that's going to take a few minutes. So I'm actually going to take myself off screen. I got to do some analysis and figure out how to win this $100,000 that I'm still alive to. I will say as I leave the show here just for a minute, I'm leaving in very capable hands to talk about this race, maybe go through each horse a little bit, talk as much detail as you guys would like. Right now, the favorite is Cyberknife, 8-5, right now on the board. The second choice is the number 5 to 5 for Iowa and Bedford, a very good speed horse. And the third choice is my top choice in the race. The number 4, White Barrio, is my personal. You got all the race, right? White Barrio is my top choice. So I'm going to go off screen for a little bit. Kyle, Jim, and Matt, take it away on your analysis of the 2023 $3 million Pegasus World Cup invitation. Go ahead, Jim or you guys go ahead and start.
All right, Jim. Guess it's just me and you. So
Yes, sir.
you got to talk. But yeah, so again, I'm going with Cyberknife in this race. It just seems, for me, the best horse in this race. I know a lot of people are talking about the Funded in this race, and a lot of people in the YouTube chat on Wednesday were all up in arms because not a single one of us had Defunded anywhere in this race. But just talking about a little bit, I know, like I said, we didn't bring you on for too much handicapping today, but how do you see kind of the pace setup? And are you with Cyberknife as well, or are you going somewhere else?
I actually went elsewhere here. I'm a little bit surprised to see the Funded. I think that's too short. I think it's a combination of Iran and it's a combination of Iran and Baffert. So that wasn't a horse I had anywhere.
Yeah.
I actually left the horse off. The thing here in this race is you have some horses that are very good golf training park horses. This recent White Barry was 5-1. That's a horse that is 4-4 on the racetrack, should be given a little bit of consideration. I thought a horse like Simplification was worth a little bit of a look. The horse is 30-1 here, 7 starts at Gulfstream Park, 7 times on the board. The horse that I actually picked on top was the 7, that's City Longstock. Opened at 11-1. Here's the thing, this horse wasn't ready really early on in the 3-year-old campaign. Wasn't necessarily ready for the Derby. Showed up in the Preakness, ran okay, ran a pretty good race in the Belmont. The West Virginia Derby actually came out tougher than what you would normally expect.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, out here's a very deep track. Here's a track that some horses like with this horse got a dream trip and ran really well. And then you look at that last race, the Harlem's Holiday, it was kind of the prep for this race. Skippy Longstock, he won the race, didn't have the greatest trips.
Yep.
This was a horse that was up wide the entire race and ran on late. So maybe it's a horse that's maturing a little bit as it gets a little bit older. You know, I had the second start and the first start on the 4-year-old campaign. I thought there was some values. I just tend to wonder if bettors are looking and saying, okay, it's faster, it's speed, we're going to bet that horse in all those reasons. I think there's going to be a little bit more pace in this race.
I agree with you. I completely agree, which is why I ended up actually going with Cyberknife. Sippy Longstocking is definitely interesting, and I can't exactly, they took the live odds off as One Republic is given their rendition.
Yeah, of course, that's more important apparently.
But Skippy Longstocking is actually up. It's 11-1 to Skippy Longstocking, 5-2 on Defunded, as said, 5-1 on White Abario, and 7-1 on Proxy, who a lot of people liked as well. Which I think that for me, that horse was that horse that really benefited from a trip last time at a speed favoring Churchill Downs. So it really comes down to who's going to go with Baffert, in my opinion, and how this race is going to set up. Because as we all know, these Pegasus World Cups a lot of the time like to go to someone towards the front, as we all saw. I mean, last year Life is Good, Mucho Gusto, and all that type of stuff, where those horses, not Mucho Gusto, but Mucho Macho Man is what I'm thinking of, I believe. But just horses that like to stay a lot more towards the front tend to win this race. But that's why I'm hoping that a lot of pace can develop in this race. Someone just please go with IRAD. That's all I'm hoping for.
Riding the bike probably is the horse that has to go. White Abario runs the best races.
Yep, agree.
I think Cross is going to have the position from the inside. So I think somebody's going to go with the This is a horse. You're not going to see a big show. You're not going to see a horse just cruise along and run down and go over the So I think there is enough. The thing with Cyberknife is this, and what's really only where you are horse in the race, it's never around Gulfstream Park and the horse is not worth the That's the one thing that scares me a little bit. What I do like is you have a rider, Drew, who just won his 2000 quarter race. He's won this race before. He's won the Pegasus World Cup. He's not scared of the big stage. He's still not necessarily a big name with some other riders. He is more than capable here. He looked really, aside from the Kentucky Derby, where there's just an ugly trip Cyberknife, the horse is a model of consistency. Every race is good against good horses. And I think this is a horse that will get enough pace to race. I'm actually kind of hoping Cyberknife's 5, 6, 7 weeks off your pace going into that first turn on the backside and then trying to run away.
Absolutely. I mean, my top thing is just Cyberknife, just Giroux to just get him in a good position, whether it's too wide, tuck him in. If you have to take him back, do it. Even though we all know, I mean, as I've touched on at the podcast previously, Gulfstream is just not very favorable to these horses coming from the back, especially on the dirt. A little bit easier on the turf, but the dirt, I'm not even going to talk about the Tapeta. You guys know my opinion on the, especially from the back. Yep, absolutely. I mean, like you said, you talked about how you love the outer turf course. And I mean, I call it a speedway. It's just you run out and you just go for it, and whoever gets that usually wins. But I really just hope Giroux can find a spot where Cyberknife is comfortable. He's able to tip out towards the top and start going a little bit earlier to try and catch these horses, such like the Fun did.
Here's something that's interesting too. If we talk a little bit about logistics for races and intent and stuff like that. One thing that I found interesting is Drew made an agent change at the end of last year. He was a guy that agents had connections with trainers, and Drew was riding a ton of Brad Cox horses leading up to that point.
Absolutely.
He's not riding nearly as many horses with Cox, but still some of those that he gets along best with, Cox recognizes and says, hey, I'm sticking with him. So you do see Drew who's running the horse at every single start.
Absolutely.
So the connections are smart, the trainer is smart, even though we lose some of those ties. So that's one of the things where I do think they'll put the horse in a good spot. This horse is on the has run great this distance every single time. I think this is a distance that probably best suits the horse.
Yep.
And we don't really have to worry for betting purposes for you guys for what the odds are right now at 8 to 5.
Right.
It's working on belts.
Exactly.
So that definitely helps. But I do think, like I mentioned, I think he's probably going to take 6-7 lengths off during the piece so he can get tucked into that first turn, save a little bit of ground. It's definitely a shift 4 or 5 wide.
Absolutely. And, like we said, Gulfstream, it's not the most kind to running into these first turns. Obviously, this race is not exactly the longest run into the first turn, which, especially coming from the 10, 11, 12 hole in these types of races, can be hard to navigate, which is why I'm sure me and Jim are both hoping for Cyberknife to get, even if he has to give up a little bit of ground, just get that good trip around that first turn. And I think that's what's going to truly benefit him the most. And I mean, going through these racehorses, I completely agree with you with simplification. 30-1 on that horse it seems a little, I mean, not astronomical, but it's definitely higher than I thought. White Barrio is getting bet very hard. Obviously, Defunded is with Baffert and Irad. Art Collector's really cold, as I thought he would be. Skippy Longstocking's cold in relative to everything else. Get Her Number, who's stretching out, is 21-1. Last Samurai with the Tories really is the longest shot on the board right now, except for the 3. Stiletto Boy is 40-1. And O'Connor, who I thought was actually really interesting if he can get in from that 12 hole. I thought he was really interesting to catch a piece as well.
And it's 23-1. It was a little surprising because we just mentioned how Skippy Longstocking.
Right.
This is a 6-5 figure in Holiday, and the horse had an inside trip. Then it was weird because it just worked his way not only off the rail, but well off the rail.
Absolutely.
That's the thing that surprised me. So maybe this is one of those horses that wants to run on the outside.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, it's probably suits very nicely. You're looking at 23-1, and we were talking about things too. And you mentioned Art Collector, who's really down more than 1. They probably have to go.
Absolutely.
I think the space is very swift.
Yeah. Well, we've said that before, but definitely. The funny goes by himself and wins for fun, as like Nick's go. But no, I completely see it the way you do. Art Collector it has to go. There's no other way that this horse can win or even get near the end of the race if he does not go to the lead. Same thing with, like I said, Defunda's got to go. White Barrio does his best running up front. Proxy's going to have to go from the inside gate. I completely agree with you. I see this pace really getting swift, which is why I really think Cyberknife and horses like that. And, like I said, O'Connor, that's the one horse for me that's like Howard was talking about his quintessential horses, like Speaking Scout, play underneath in these races. If O'Connor can navigate a trip from that outside draw, I really think that he can upset people into the money at least. He's going to be pretty far back, especially with that outside post. But I'm assuming, like Cyberknife, you said, he's going to have to take back, or he's going to have to use some to get in the mix. But I think what he's going to do is going to take back, make one run at it, and maybe not able to win, but definitely able to come underneath to get that, that 20-1 shot in there.
But here's the thing too with O'Connor, it's a Chilean bred horse. When you look at all these races, they're distance races. It's a mile and a quarter, mile and 3/8, mile and 3/16. So stamina is not going to be an issue. Distance is going to be an issue. the two races in Austin Park were both very good.
Yes.
So there's no reason to think about this horse. You're okay, the horse just posted 100 buyer and will finish the fourth. I think 100 buyer any day on a horse that's 24-1 right now. So I don't worry about the outside that much here for opener. I do think that this is a horse that, much like Cyberknife, probably does have to go out there and get tucked in early on.
Yep.
Like you mentioned, the one thing that does concern me is, does this horse want to race on the outside of horses? So we'll see. But again, if there's six across going into the turn and you're winning it out, it may not matter. All these
Correct.
This could be a race that is a lot like the Kentucky Derby this year, where everybody goes and all of a sudden they're backing up, and someone just leaves their way through the field and works out a trip and doesn't in a big race.
I mean, absolutely. And right now, if you're watching the Gulfstream telecast, they're showing Cyberknife's Haskell, which I think is going to be what maybe not. He's not going to hopefully get a better trip than what he did in the Haskell, coming up the inside like that. But I would love that type of run from Cyberknife in this race. And I think if the pace does develop, that's the type of run that he's going to get. So.
And that may be the trip that he needs here too. And you're going to have to sit back and then hope you get lucky.
Right.
Through along the inside. The other thing too with racing that you have to understand is when the horses are coming through the turn, they switch leads into the far turn, so they tend to drop in a path. When horses are coming off the second turn and they start getting tired, they start drifting off the rail. They start getting away from the rail naturally. So many times these horses that have run at the rider gain position and wait to go through along the inside, they can run into that victory. And that swooping move that you see a lot of times in the Derby, the swooping move is a losing move because you just have to go way wide.
Yep.
If you can wait close to the inside of you, that was the mind that first when you tripped.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wait, and slide through the defense, but that's how a lot of horses are going to win the race. Wait and try to close up that ground. I don't think Cyberknife is going to have a bad trip by any means.
Yep.
It's going to be a matter of if you get lucky and get through along the inside.
Right, and obviously we see that a lot with turf races where you have these massive fields and these horses that are sitting on the inside. Wakanaka did not get lucky, but you see these horses that are just waiting for those horses to just drift naturally off the rail. So then, like you said, Cyberknife got that exact trip in the Haskell, which would not be a bad result here, especially for everybody in this room, but for me and Howard Felsley as well. Look, I mean, there's just a lot of variables in this race that kind of need to go well. In my opinion, like for a horse like White Abarrio, if he can get the trip, he needs that trip, that stalking kind of Florida Derby-esque trip that he got. I don't think he's going to be fast enough to be out on the lead in this type of race with the funded and art collector and stuff like that. So if he can, I mean, he has a great post to do it. If he can kind of tuck in just behind the leaders in that type of, like I said, Florida Derby-esque trip, I think he might be a factor as well. But I don't know about you, Jim, but I've never been completely sold on that horse. Obviously, he's ran really nice races early on in his 3-year-old career, and in the races, like the Pennsylvania Derby, ran pretty well against those types of horses in the Ohio Derby against your horse that you like, Skippy Longstocking. I think he's just going to need that type of trip to do anything.
And here's the thing with a horse like White Abarrio. At 6-1, it's probably doing good.
I agree.
If you were looking at 16-1, maybe you can look underneath the Guinness. The thing about horses, so when you talk about horses for courses, Gulfstream Park's main track remains laid down all year long.
Yep.
Some tracks like Hawking, we let the track up, put the track back down. Different tracks have different dirt compositions, different compression. Horses handle different tracks on different means. You watch Tampa Downs, for example. That's a deep track where a lot of horses have to race off the rail. Gulfstream Park, the dirt collection is a little bit different. When they talk about it, Palmer in the winter, for example, has a very coarse type of dirt.
Yep.
Horses don't like to kick back for a lot of that, so in the winter you see a lot of horses winning on the front end. A place like Gulfstream Park, you can handle rain quickly and dry out quickly. It's a dirt granule that's a little bit more of a rounded granule that handles water and then dries out just as quickly. Some horses take to that, some don't.
Right.
It's the reason why some horses run better under grass than they do on the dirt. So
Right.
you get that for the reason why a horse like White Abarrio merits a little bit of a look. But again, then you have to look at values. At 6-1, I don't think there's value. Again, if it's 16-1, maybe it's a difference.
Right.
That would be the one thing that's serious.
I completely agree with you, and I think a lot of these people that are given this horse, I mean, this has realistically been kind of that wise guy horse for this race, in my opinion, where a lot of these people are looking to White Abarrio being that horse for the course, and having Staffy Joseph, who we all know has done really well at Gulfstream over the past few years, let alone forever. So I think people are looking to a horse like White Abarrio for that type of angle. But again, I would need, like you, Jim, said, I would need more value in that to play that type of horse in the spot.
Joseph O'Connor's my top horse.
Yeah. Right.
It's not White Mario, but and you're looking at 22 to 1 on O'Connor.
And that's the value that, like you need on one of those horses for me. And like I said, I tipped out O'Connor. I know Howard likes O'Connor underneath in these types of spots as well. I mean, he's going to realistically get the same type of trip as Cyberknife. And if that trip develops, there's no reason why a horse like O'Connor can't come running with Cyberknife at the end. So it's just it's going to literally come for me. Obviously, it's with every race, but this is definitely going to be a race where I'm going to look at that first and half time, just due to the fact of if Defunded is out in front with IRAD, which being as aggressive as IRAD is with the way Baffert trains horses, he has to go. He has to be towards the front.
He's got no choice.
There's absolutely no choice. I mean, like you said, our collector's going to go on the outside of him. There's going to be horses going on the inside of him. IRAD would love to clear to the rail. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that, but those type. I mean, if with all that pressure, something has to give if that pressure is put on. And like I said, horses from the outside they're going to tuck in are going to have that trip as long as that pace develops. So
here's the thing that you have to look at throughout this watching the horses walk over.
Yep.
It's awesome to see great horses walk over because they all look absolutely incredible walking into the paddock. I'm looking at the board right now and I still see 30 to 1 on simplification.
Yep.
That's what's going to interest me a little bit because, again, this is a horse that has never missed a board in 7 starts at Gulfstream Park. Paco Lopez might be the most fearless rider in North America. and it's fearless to a fault because it's got him in a lot of trouble, a lot of suspensions for reckless riding in the past. When I say fearless rider, it's for the reason that he is going to wait. He's going to take that opportunity. He's going to try to push through on the inside. So if there is a little bit of run out of simplification in the end, I don't see him taking that swoop and move. I do see him staying along the inside and running on late. Gulfstream also, and I'm curious to see when they saddle the horses for this race. This is a weird paddock setup because you see the paddock out there. They actually walk through the tunnel. They go to the other side of the building. They initially had a paddock on the other side of the building that nobody used because the stalls were too small. So they had to build a second paddock underneath in the tunnel where the majority of people chose to saddle. The other thing with this paddock, there's like a shopping center and restaurant built on the outside of it.
There is.
So you get weird outside noise, you get distractions, things along those lines that you have to take into account too. So what you see right here on the screen is a whole lot of people that are standing and not a whole lot of stuff going on because none of the horses are getting saddled out there. They're all going to get saddled underneath in the tunnel where it's a little bit more calm. And then you get the common circumstance. The horses are actually going to walk backwards, go out there into the walking ring, circle around the walking ring a little bit, then go back through the tunnel and back to the track. There's stuff that you have to take into account when this happens. Horses that have raced in Gulfstream Park are familiar with this. They've done it in the past. They do it for all the stage races. It's a lot like the Kentucky Derby. It's a tight paddock. Some horses handle it well, and all of a sudden you're merged out and you're sitting by the old Kentucky home. Horses out a little bit. So somebody handle it, somebody not. So when you're about to race like this, watch your little tendencies. See if any horses are washing the paddock. See if horses are kicking around and they that back track there before they head out to the racetrack. Maybe you'll have some key tendencies, or maybe horses can toss out more than any.
No, absolutely. And, a horse like, if Defunded's acting up at 5-2, especially with very low value, those are the horses that I look to see if they're not handling the track well and you're only getting a price like 5-2, 2-1 on a horse like that. That might be a key sign to kind of, back off that horse a little bit. Obviously, he's very talented, but, those types of angles. Oh, yeah. But like I said, it's just those things that, you try to find ways to beat favorites in these types of races because this is where you're going to get paid. And if you can find those subtle keys like that, that could be a very big thing for you.
I'd rather have a favorite in Cyberknife who's proven, who has some versatility, who has a running style compared to a horse like Defunded. And we're going to talk this horse in the winter.
Of course, Of course.
Defunded is a one-run type.
Yes, he is.
That's the thing. So I played it. That much action. I like push along the entire way. That's the thing that concerns me a little bit. I think there's going to be base pressure in here, and I just don't think there's any balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's always about beating these favorites in these races. And if you feel like that Defunded's going to take that type of pace pressure, this is a perfect opportunity to beat a horse that's going to be easily bet down. Probably not favored in this race above Cyberknife, but this horse I can probably see knowing Baffert, Irad, and all the public going on to him. I can only see this horse going off at 5-2 or less. So it would be an amazing thing for not only me and Jim, but everybody in this room if we can get that pace pressure for Cyberknife in this race. Howard, I see you come back on.
All right, so listen, this is I love these days. I love these days because it really. Let me go ahead and just steal the mic here.
Steal it
I
from
love
me.
these days because it's especially when you have contest stuff going, Jim. The powers that be, myself and Matt Miller, had to put our brains together and try to figure out how you turn $6,400 into 50, 60,000 plus in this race. Just because it's a national contest, Jim, and we know there are thousands and thousands of people watching this live right now. I don't want to give out my pick, but let me just ask you this question, hypothetical. If you are trying to, let's say you're trying to go 10x on your money. You're trying to go 10x on your money in this race. You obviously cannot do it with a win bet on Cyberknife. You can't even do it with a win bet with Defunded or White Barrio. Are you more apt to pick a 10-to-1 shot or bigger and try to do your money times 10 that way, or to go with verticals in this situation?
I mean, here's the thing. You have to go one of two ways. If you like Cyberknife, as you guys clearly do, you have to find those prices to look underneath. And I think there are multiple horses at really big prices. As Kyle and I just mentioned, O'Connor, it is a ridiculous price at 23 to 1 right now. I'm a person that likes stiffy long stock, and that horse is 10 to 1. I thought simplification could climb up underneath at 30 to 1. You're not going to make a ton of money here, of course, with 8-5 over 5-2 by any means. I didn't think that White Barrio, however, provided any bit of value there at 6 to 1. That was the thing that worried me a little bit. Again, it's the horse for the course. Horse starts over the track 4 times in the winner's circle. So I'm sure that's why everybody's betting the horse. This is a little bit different type of race horse, a little bit different type of race here too. So we'll see what we get out of White Barrio. But there is some value provided in this race. O'Connor is a great price. Simplification is a great price. To me, Stiffy Longstock at 10 to 1 is a very good price too. I do think you're going to get the pace set up there for Cyberknife, but we'll see how things unfold. And they just showed a little bit of that paddock shot there, so you can kind of see that oval walking ring that they come backwards to before they walk back out onto the racetrack. But we'll see if they can shot out there in the paddock and just get a little bit of a look at some of these in the walking ring.
Matt, if you'd like, we can put you on camera. We'll give we're passing the mics back and forth. Looks like, or do you need that mic, Matt? Let's bring in 2021 BC champ Matt Miller. Matt, we were talking about how you construct tickets. It's very important. If let's say you like Cyberknife, for people who are in the room and watching at home, if you like Cyberknife, he's 8-5. You can put a win bet to him, and you get a $2 win bet. You're going to get 60 back. You can win a little bit of money there, but not a lot. What's the best way to get value in this race if you like Cyberknife, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the smart-ass answer is just make a huge win bet, but not all of us are cut out to do that. So look, you've picked the 12 in this race as a horse that you really like. I would say a 10-12 exacta, a 10 with a bunch of other horses with 12 trifecta. You could essentially zero in on a couple of horses underneath your primary pick and still do very well. So you don't have to accept 8-5. I don't know what that 10-12 exacta pays. I'll bet you it's terrific. Even if you liked a horse like the 1 or the 4, those exactas will pay respectively. And you could back it up with trifectas, so you need that other horse to come in just second or third.
I've been doing a lot of listening to other people. I haven't really given my opinion very much in this race, so let me give everyone my opinion of this race. Of course, for those of you that are here at the Club Hawthorne Crazy for OTB, we did pass out a sort of a tip sheet where we talked about who we like. I like White Barrio in this spot. The funny thing is I've really never been a big fan of this horse. He's been really good at Gulfstream Park. We all know he won the Florida Derby. Tail draw throughout the summer. Jim and Matt, I think he's rounding back into form. He ran a big race in the Cigar Mile. He got a 99 buyer in the slop. I think Safi is teaching this horse how to rate. I don't think he needs to be on the lead. I think he's going to break, look to actually his outside, not to the inside, and see what Defunded and Art Collector do. I think those two have to go. I think that White Barrio is going to tuck in somewhere, ideally, behind the speed. Is he good enough I don't know, but Jim and Matt, I like progressive 4-year-olds, newly turned 4-year-olds over a horse, like perhaps even Cyberknife or definitely Proxy, who who they are. They may improve, but their upside is not quite as good. You got Tyler G. I just love the post with White Barrio. I'm going White Barrio on top. I'm sure you guys talked about it, Jim, and I'm sorry I missed out on it, but what was your opinion on White Barrio?
A little bit about Mare Turf. And it's where, as you mentioned, it's a horse for the course. The horse loves golf from park. The horse runs very well at culture. Running style is going to be a question of key. Because I don't know what kind of trip they're going to get. I think the horse runs as fast as they're going to do. I don't think they're going easily here. So that can change a little. Like I mentioned, here's the thing. There's value at 16-1. I don't know if there's value at 6-1. That's what scares me off a little bit. It's just kind of looking at how you were playing the race. I'm just trying to watch the horses here at half. So yeah, this is a very tight walking ring the other ring. This is probably about the closest to a Kentucky Derby type of walking ring. It's very tight. A lot of people there that are close. One side actually was showing the walking right now. So I'm curious to see. 6-1 was the thing that scared me all the way apart. It was just more value than anything, nothing against the race, but just against the price more than anything.
Let me just quick. I know they talked about O'Connor. I talked about O'Connor last month on this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. And what I said, I singled him in the pick 5 that day. Of course, he lost. He lost half his shoe, which is not a good scenario. Still got 100 buyer. I don't think he wants the inside either. I said last month, I almost hope O'Connor loses today, so that'll be a bigger price a month from now at a distance that suits him better. Now, I don't like O'Connor on the win end at all. Could he come in second, third? Maybe. In my big plays for the Pegasus contest, I didn't put O'Connor in there. I bet him a little bit on the side because truly coming in the 12 hole, passing 11 horses seems a bit unlikely. I would not be shocked if O'Connor shows up late somewhere, guys.
I love the dude eating popcorn behind the guy.
Sorry, little surprise to the room. I know you're fit. I went ahead and made another bet for the room. It's a 10-12 all trifecta and a 10 all 12 trifecta. So
I love it. Wow. Well, that's awesome, Matt. Everyone here in the Crazy Poor OTB appreciates that. The one horse I don't know what to do with, and again, I was sort of in the war room with Matt Miller talking about my strategy, which when we get very close to the race, I'll tell everyone in the room what I did in this race. I'm trying to get to about $60,000 in this race to make myself known in the national competition here. There's 2 horses I want to ask Jim about. I'm sure you touched on, so I apologize. Art Collector. I'm against him. And the fact that if you would have told me Art Collector is going to be 20-1 in this race, I wouldn't have believed it. I thought he was going to be like 10 or 12. Clearly, he's got a foot issue possibly. I'm sure he's fine, but that's an issue. And I don't see how he just stalks and wins. I see a fast pace here, Jim and Matt. Is that what you guys agree and talk about?
Yeah, I think the pace is going to be very quick. Well, one interesting note that we were just talking about with horses going out in the walking ring. 5 defunded, the Baffert horse who said at 5-2 actually got the rider off in the tunnel. They're going to go out to the walking ring to get the rider off. So that's something that you kind of want to watch your nervousness out of a little bit of a horse on the tendencies. But this is a horse that did not get the rider up in that walking ring and waited until he got into the tunnel and put the rider up there. Art Collector, I think, is one of those horses that ensures that the pace is fast and is honest up front. I think Proxy is the other one that has to ensure just from that inside draw that pace is honest up front. But I think things are going to be quicker early on. This is a horse, an Art Collector, that here's the thing. You look at the mile running distance, 9 starts at the distance, 7 of those are victories. Races at some of the places are going to be different than others because you look at the size of some of these fields and you're seeing, okay, you're winning some races with shorter fields, you're winning some races with larger. But the race 3 back, for example, there were only 5 in there. Saratoga and Alabama. Look at the race at Charlestown. That's a race with very tight turns, over tight track. But I think our collector is going to have to go. I think because of that, your pace is going to be quick up front early on. I think it's going to be very honest, and we'll just see how things unfold. I can see any 4 or 5 horses going early.
So I like the situation. For those of you in the room, we had Mary has a $25 win bet, and Brian has a $50 win bet. And coincidentally, they are both going with the same horse. Anyone want to take a guess? Anyone want to take a guess who they're going with? They're going with the 5 to fund it. So good luck to Mary. Good luck to Brian with their win bets. The funded right now is 5 to 2. I think the funded has to get the lead. I don't know if he can rate and win. We'll see, Jim. He's logical. He's taking a ton of money right now. I didn't think he'd be this low at all. So good luck to those two.
He is taking a ton of money. I mean, here's the thing, that's Bob Baffert's going to draw money. Brad Ortiz Jr. is going to draw money. The horse makes a good impression on the racetrack. So there's nothing wrong with the horse by any means. Like we talked about, it's the same thing that applies to soccer. You don't have a race over the racetrack, so that's something that you do have to take into account there. You're coming in off a little bit of a layoff into the spot. This is a horse that remained off in California all the way up until a week ago. This was a horse that worked 1 week ago at San Antonio. So just recently, Sticky Longstock and going back and bringing the post right. But this is a horse that basically did the shipping, got a couple of gallops over the racetrack, and said we're going to run. So it's something where they go and get settled ahead of time, but they know what they're doing. And Bob Baffert's won thousands of races for a reason. But again, in a race with this quality in the field, I just worry a little bit that there's not a ton of value there.
And the West Coast handicap horses, Jim, don't do much for me. I know Country Grammar's been out there, but he's been, I won't say off form, but he's not nearly as good as he was earlier. So I question how good funded is from a class perspective. Not only that, Jim, California speed works well. Sure, it works well at Gulfstream, but there's a lot of other speed in here. So it's going to be fascinating. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a short break. There's 6 minutes left. When we come back, we'll talk about, if you're in the room right now, you're going to want to see what's on the chalkboard as Kyle Roscoe is adding bets, care of Matt Miller, that we all have in the room to share. So thanks, Matt Miller, for some extra bets. We're going to take a short break. We got about 5 minutes to post to the last race of the day and a lot riding online in the Pegasus World Cup Invitational. We'll be back here on the HHH Racing Podcast. right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. There is about 2 minutes to post to the Pegasus. A few comments for everyone in the room. First of all, win or lose, we've had an unbelievable time. We're going to be on for about 5 more minutes after the race to talk about the race. Please make sure you go to our YouTube channel. Just go to the search bar, hhhracingpodcast.com, and subscribe. We have shows every Thursday nights at 8 p.m. live. We also have shows on Wednesday nights. Everyone got a business card with all the information, my email. Follow me on Twitter, all that great stuff. So please check that out as well. We'd really appreciate your support. We have a fantastic tip sheet that's on the back of the business card. On the back of the business card, there are some QR codes. If you scan the one on the right side with your phone, it'll take you right to the website. Otherwise, you can just go to patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast. That's also on the business card. That's where you can find our tip sheet. It's extremely inexpensive. If Cyberknife wins, we're all going to get money, so please make sure you stick around for that distribution. If Defunded wins, that would also be great for Mary and Brian. If nothing wins, that's okay too. We really, really appreciate everyone's support. I hope you enjoyed your time here today at the pool party. I hope you learned a few things, had some winners. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. You guys were an awesome crowd. We had some horses on top. We got endorsed home at 9-2. We got Value Engineering in second. That Speaking Scout Tribe paid, I think, $150 for 50 cents I saw. So that was tremendous. We had a lot of great scores for everyone. One little misstep with Queen Goddess. That's the way it goes. We can all go home a winner here with Cyberknife. I'll throw it to the Millers here for either one. Comment in general. Last picks in this race, your top 3. Let's go to Jim Miller first. Jim, your top 3 in the Pegasus.
Pretty long stockings from the start. Pretty long stockings from the start. Looking at the prices underneath simplification is the horse that I use at 25 to 1. I'm going to use that as the other two that I would go in are Cyberknife, but I think they get the trip. And we talked about the panel on the outside. I think is a pretty good issue with prices. Pretty long stockings is my top 3.
Let's go to Kyle. So we can pass that mic over to Matt. Kyle, your top 3 very quickly.
All right, my top 3, I am going with Cyberknife on top. I think he's the class of the field. I think he sits the right trip in this race, and I think he tips out at the top of the stretch for everyone here at the Club Hawthorne Crazy 4 OTB. I'm going second. I'm going to number 12, O'Connor. I really think he's an extremely interesting long shot that can really get that trip as long as he tucks in on that first turn and does not sit out in the parking lot wide. And I'm going to go, I was moving simplification and Defunded for third. I really think there's enough pace pressure. I'm going to take number 2 as well, simplification, and come over the top as a bomb and get third for us.
Matt, the 2021 BC champ, who are you going with in the Pegasus?
I think, obviously from the bets we have, I think Cyberknife's to play. I think it should be a pretty dominating winner. This has been a pretty formidable race for the years. Second, I'm with you on White Barrio. The price is spooky to some, but in others, it suggests that there's money there and people are playing it. So I like White Barrio with you, and I also do like that 12. So some combination of 10 on top, hopefully 4 and 12 underneath.
So for full transparency to everyone, I didn't want to give away my plays in the big national contest too early because I'm just not comfortable with other people hearing my plays. My choice in this race, I'm going 4, 10, 12. I think White Barrio is a big shot. Mary and Brian, I hope for your sakes I'm wrong and Defunded wins, but I'm not using Defunded in my top 3. Now, in the contest, let's just say that I need White Barrio and Cyberknife to run well. So I need those 2 to run very well to give me a shot to finish in the top 10 of the National Pegasus Betting Championship. So I need those 2 to run. And then, of course, on the board, guys, if O'Connor can find a way to get in second and third, and we're right about Cyberknife, we are going to have a nice try for everyone in the room. So once again, we really appreciate everyone joining you today. That's our analysis of the Pegasus. They are in their typical walking behind the gate here with the post drag so that Stronach can get as much money as possible, as usual. No comment from Jim Miller on that one. Again, Skippy Long, of course, that I know, Tim, you like. I'm a little concerned that I read off. Nothing wrong with Jose Ortiz. You knew Irad, he wants to win this race. Real quick, Jim, the jockey gymnastics there with Irad switching to Defunded, is that just he wants to ride for Baffert, or I assume he thinks Defunded is just the better horse?
I'm sure he does think Defunded is the better horse. I'm sure Bob Baffert told him Defunded was the better horse. So you're trying to line up riders. So you want to get the best, and we just talked last race about how we feel he is the best on the circuit. So we're going to find out here. Here's the thing about it, though. There's so many good riders in this race. You're not really going to go wrong with anybody that you have. Jose Ortiz is a guy who's winning at a 17% clip on the beat right now, which isn't bad for a championship. You'd like to see him all around 20, but you're riding against some very good riders. So the money that you're looking for right now, right? 3-1 compared to what, 61 straight ball side.
I think it's 9, actually.
Yeah. So we'll just kind of see how things unfold again. I'm sure that anytime probably better than 2 horses.
The break is going to be huge. I think everyone in the room needs to watch the 4, 5, and 6 because I think that's going to set the whole pace complexion. Obviously, we need the time to break clean. We need Cyberknife to be not wide. That's my only concern. Somehow, Cyberknife's got to be able to tuck in. I expect him mid-pack, Matt, and make a big run around the far turn. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. They are entering the gate for the 2023 World Cup $3 million on the line. The favorite is Cyberknife, as there's a hush over the room. 9-5 on Cyberknife. Here we go. Good luck with all your bets,
right,
whether you're watching here at Crazy Pour or you're at home.
Thank you, sir. All right, come on. Let's go one time. One damn time.
One time, baby. I know those of you at home, the race is probably almost off or gone off, so I know you're a little bit ahead of us. That's okay.
Laughing at us, probably.
All right, one damn time. Let's do this shit.
They're in the gate.
Very clean beginning for everybody.
Clean breaks. Looks pretty
Look
clean.
at every wow. Oh my God.
The
Cyberknife
on
tucks
the
in beautiful.
outside gunning. Whiteabaro is in a great spot on the inside. Whiteabaro is a nice spot. Defunded is outside of him. Our collector is going to be very wide. And we've got Whiteabaro is in a real nice spot. You got Stiletto Boy is on top. Where is Cyberknife is fine. Cyberknife is mid-pack, looking comfortable. They went 23-3 first quarter. Stiletto Boy on top, Defunded second. In the pocket, Whiteabaro. Right now, Cyberknife is pulling a little bit. He's in mid-pack in a pretty comfortable spot. It looks like this is not the fastest pace I thought it would be. This is not flying at all. We don't have a half mile time is 47-3. They really slowed this down. That is going to hurt the closers for sure. You still have Stiletto Boy, Defunded, Cyberknife's comfortable. You got Art Collector 3 wide. Whiteabaro's on the inside. He's got to start going. He's pushing a little bit. I'm not sure I love the way Whiteabaro is moving right now. And Cyberknife is not making a move right now, guys. Cyberknife is not making his move yet. Now he's starting to come. That's the question, but he's not coming up, guys. We've got, it was Defunded. We got taking the lead is Art Collector. It is, I don't think it's going to be Cyberknife's day. It's not going to be Whiteabaro either. Taking the lead is Art Collector. Takes the lead. We have the number 9 Last Samurai 50-1 trying to get second, but Defunded's going on for second. Stiletto Boy for third. Art Collector wins the Pegasus World Cup. Oh boy, that is not good.
Permission to have French?
Good for anyone in the room.
Permission to use French?
Good for me.
The speed that went fast enough and the speed never
How just happened?
I'm very surprised, especially at his odds. The big guns just didn't run. I don't really know what to say. Cyberknife was in a good spot, didn't run. I thought Whiteabaro was in a good spot, didn't run. An unbelievable training job by Bill Mott. on Art Collector.
The speed never came back. The 3 horses that went out there,
15 to 1.
Stiletto Boys.
Defended an incredible race. You got a bomb in third. Guys, this is a gut punch. The big horses just didn't run. Well, Defender got second, but Cyberknife, let's talk about Cyberknife. I didn't see many excuses, guys. I just didn't see it.
No, the pace held together. No one came from the back. Our Collector was up front. Little Boy finished third. Defenders finished second. No pace fell apart at all. It's just the Gulfstream mantra that we've been keep chanting. It's about these Pegasus. It's about these weekends. Everyone comes from the front, and it just out of all of them up front, Our Collector might have been the last horse I thought of, to be honest with you. But great training job to Bill Mott. An absolutely great ride, and congrats to all the connections. A great win for them.
Yeah, it's a tough loss for Defended, actually. If you told me that a front runner would do well, I would have guessed for sure that would be it. So that's just a tough one to predict.
Jim Miller, we've got in third, 45-1 Stiletto Boy, who had the lead. And you got Last Samurai in fourth, 50-1. Proxy ran okay. It just didn't develop for the closers. It's so hard to envision. For me, Stiletto Boy crossing over and getting a 20. That was a 24-second quarter for this quality of horse, Jim. You just can't make up ground in that situation. It's not going to happen.
If you told me Stiletto Boy was going to make the top of that field, I would have been shocked. There were so many others that could show speed. There's the thing. Mike Smith also came over to ride Stiletto Boy. He kind of picks and chooses his amount. So the horse ran an incredible race. Nobody came back, and there was enough pace there. On 23, 47, 11, there was enough pace to close into. No excuse to sit long stop, no excuse to side. Like they were all perfectly positioned early on. I haven't really lost a whole lot of ground. They just didn't run out of things.
I'll have to see the replay. I think one thing that we'll have to watch, but because Stiletto Boy caught a flyer possibly, when he crossed over, I think there was a little bunching up in the middle of the pack, Jim and Kyle and Matt, and we'll have to watch the replay. But Kyle, when you have a horse crossing over that aggressively from the outside, there can be a lot of bumping and steadying. I think that was part of the reason why the real speed didn't get out there along with Stiletto Boy.
I mean, definitely could be. I mean, you have a horse that, no one really sees that's going to get to the lead in a race like this, all the way from the 11 hole on a very, as we touched on, a very short run to that first turn at Gulfstream Park, even at a mile and an eighth. Just Defended. I mean, they all went originally, and it just seemed like no one wanted to take the lead from anybody. So Stiletto Boy's just like, thank you very much. I'll take it myself. And that kind of throws the whole race into an awry where, you think there's going to be a hot pace on, but everyone and everyone else, Junior Alvarado's just like, please go in front of me. I'll sit right behind you, and I'll tip out at the top of the stretch. Pace holds together, and, it's just really hard to predict in something like that.
Jim, I don't know what you do with this race. And what I mean is going forward. I mean, you've got your first, third, and fourth choices were 15, 1, 45, and 50. Cyberknife's career is over, I believe. He's retired now. So it's a shame for him to go out in that manner. Proxy, last time was the time. I didn't really love him in this spot. I had him in the Clark. We talked about in the show, Kyle, we actually in the contest. I was in the Hawthorne contest that day and had Proxy. Yep. Jim, we talked about it. I didn't like him. I'm not going to blame any of the riders here. It's just White Barrow got the trip I wanted. And just for everyone to know, I had in the Pegasus contest, national contest, I had Cyberknife on top with White Barrow second in my big exacta, and then I had White Barrow over Defended and Cyberknife. I was very happy with White Barrow. White Barrow had 0 excuses, Matt. If you're Safi Jones, you have to be extremely disappointed.
There's going to be a lot of horses that come out of this race and don't excuse. Because, you get a little bit of street there that first turn when Stiletto Boy came over, but a lot of horses were positioned exactly where you thought they were going to be positioned. The thing that kills you in a race like this is everybody just ran on the lead. So, in terms of when you see it all the time on these big days, but again, it's a really good race horse. You see Art Collector is trained by Hall of Famer and Bill Mott. They got a really good trip there, and the horse provided some value. I didn't expect the pacing question to be the way it was. Maybe that changed a little bit just because of how big the Stiletto Boy did also early on. Maybe some horses that might have pushed through into that first turn had no choice but to settle back just because of reaction out of other riders. But I'll tell you, Stillboy is still going on at 45-1. Makes you think, okay, was this a little bit more of a practice throughout the course of the day, which does tend to happen on some later days. You see, pace, so it's 1, 2, 3,
Yep.
going to be gigantic payouts.
Yeah, no one passed. By the way, shout out to Emily Gullickson. Emily, I'm sorry we didn't respond to you in the chat. Emily's been very live in the chat. So Emily Gullickson from Hawthorne and does a great job with Jim. Shout out to Emily, who's been watching. Thank you very much for that. Bill Mott, we'll sign with this, guys. First of all of our bets went kaput. It sucks the way it ended. We had a lot of people here that had some nice scores throughout the day. A tough way to go out. Basically, in the two biggest races, guys, we had Queen Goddess win and we had Art Collector win, as it turned out. But we had some other nice scores. Can we talk about Bill Mott? This guy should have been one of the top 3 choices for the Eclipse Award, was not. He had an incredible Breeders' Cup. He had a great year last year. This horse had some legit foot issues. And one of the reasons why he was this price is because they weren't even sure that he was going to run in this race, guys, as of really up to a month ago, which sounds like a long time, but it's not when you're training for a race like this. This horse never looked like a loser at any time. He ran big races, Kyle, last year. I mean, big races. Yeah. I mean, he ran 107, 103. Let's see, 2 years ago. I apologize, 2 years ago. But last year, he was tailing off a little bit. They were treating with kid gloves. And then for him to run in a race like this, I know some of the best horses didn't run their best. But to get a horse ready off this layoff, off of regressing form with ouchy feet, Kyle, this is an unbelievable training job by Beaumont.
Absolutely. I mean, you're picking these spots, and as you go through his all his different spots, you can see. I mean, you see Charlestown on there. You see, a very listed stake at Saratoga. Next to the, the races Cyberknife has been running in. You're looking at that like that is so far much lower than what these other horses have been facing. But you look at all these extraneous factors that Beaumont has had to deal with this horse, between the foot issues and everything else. It's just about him picking the right spots for these horses at this time. And coming off that last race where he had a really a less than stellar Lucas Classic, if I'm going to be honest. It's just about getting this horse ready off that last really kind of a dud spot into the getting him ready for this massive, one of the biggest races of the entire year. And, just absolutely amazing job. Can't say enough good things about Beaumont realistically ever, but this is a big win for his stable and honestly for June Alvarado as well.
Here's what I like to do. We're going to give one bonus race because the Southwest is happening in 2 minutes with Bob Bedford's Arabian Night. Kyle, you know this horse. We saw this horse. We were 5 feet away from Arabian Night on Breeders' Cup weekend, and we were like, wow, this is an incredible looking horse. He absolutely exploded in that race. It was the first race on Breeders' Cup Saturday, if I remember correctly. He's 1-5 in the Southwest. We're not going to talk about the race flow. We're not going to talk about the race, but Matt and Jim, we'll let you guys close out your portion of the show here. Matt Miller, your final thoughts on the Pegasus and the races in general today at Gulfstream.
Yeah, definitely a fun day. It just didn't go our way, but I do feel with good strategy, we'll be back at it next time, and we'll have a good chat at it.
I thank you. Jim, final thoughts on the Pegasus or anything you saw, maybe the horse of the day, maybe a horse that just blew you away, or anything in particular about Gulfstream today?
It's fun to watch good horses race. You don't get to see those big major days anymore. You don't get to see them quite as often as you used to. This is your first big day really since the Breeders' Cup. Very good racing. I want to say kudos to Gulfstream Park, because when you're putting together invitational races, sometimes it's hard to get the large fields, competitive fields, and not have that super heavy favorite. They did an awesome job from the start. It was very good racing, and you saw some races win some races too.
Absolutely. And by the way, before I forget, can we give a big shout out to everyone here at Club Hawthorne, Crazy for OTB, Dakota Schultz, and all the waitresses and all the servers, and everyone helping us out. Today we did it for all the maintenance people and the tech guys. We really appreciate it. Again, there's a lot of things going on. You got Club Hawthorne live with Jim and Emily Gullickson at 1 o'clock. They are going to be next week at Joliet. Super Bowl weekend, they're going to be at the Crestwood OTB and Points Bets Sportsbook. They got a great new sportsbook here. They've got 50 beers. Matt's on his 134th whiskey. I think after these races, I might hit a few whiskey shots because things didn't quite work out well for us. But this is the second time we're here at the pool party, and hopefully the people at Hawthorne and Dakota Schultz will have us back. We had an unbelievable turnout. We didn't have the scores that we wanted in the end, but we did have some nice hits. And as Dakota knows, we're a go big or go home kind of podcast. And so we went for it with the favorite. Didn't quite work out, but hopefully a lot of you learned a lot and catch with some of your bets. We had a lot of real nice horses underneath in second and third and whatnot. So we're going to stay here live on YouTube just for another 1 minute. Jim and Matt and Kyle, you're welcome to stay on or leave if you like. We're just going to watch the Oaklawn race. The Oaklawn race on the screen is a Derby prep. Again, Arabian Night is a very talented horse for Bob Baffert. Jim, this is the kind of horse that I try to beat. I mean, I don't have the PPs in front of me. He's speed. He went very fast in his first race. I know there's other speed in the race. Looks like you might be looking at the PPs or pulling them up. I know there's other speed in the race, and I know it's Baffert, but 1-5 for a horse that's in the slop, never gone 2 turns against other speed. Aren't you supposed to try to beat him here? Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So the TVs are a little bit farther away, but we'll go and stay on YouTube here. Hopefully, you're staying with us here through the Southwest. Looks like they're in the gate for the Southwest again. Arabian Night is 1-5 right now. Let's see if Bob Baffert's horse wins here. Of course, this horse is going to have to be transferred to another trainer if he's going to compete in the Kentucky Derby. They're off. Arabian Night gets off very well. And in a matter of about 6 or 7 steps, looks like he's going to get to the lead. Now, actually, the 5 is going to push him just a bit, at least for, up into the tournament. Now, Arabian Night clears. And I would say from here, Arabian Night with Johnny Velasquez is going to be very tough to beat. Frost's Departure, who I know won a race at Oaklawn, is in second right now. And you have El Tomato. If you like tomatoes, you got to like the 9. 71-1.
Only the best.
Almost 23 seconds flat. He looks like he's very comfortable, Kyle, right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, these Bafferts, they love to get to the lead and just walk it down. I mean, this horse just looks extremely comfortable, which a horse of his caliber should, running on the lead, especially not getting the slop kickback. The Stone Street horse is actually coming up the inside. That'll be that's the other most likely winner. But again, this horse just slows it down from 22-4 to 46-4. I mean, it's a 24-second half mile or second quarter. Excuse me. He's doing what I hate, honestly. These other speed horses, they let other horses get into the race, which I know you do too, man.
He's taking some pace pressure here by Frosted Departure. We're going to find out how good Arabian Night is right now.
Is he going to win by
1 and 4? They hit the top of the stretch.
Right.
Arabian Night. Now Johnny V is asking kindly with Ashley's handwriting right now. And it doesn't look like he drifted up just slowly there, but it looks like he's going to hang on. There's closers coming from behind. It looks like that might be
over
the 7
5.
Route 1. Who was a horse for Paul Howard. Maybe Paul Howard has the exact, if that's the 7. I think it is. Arabian Night wins comfortably by 4 or 5, 143-2. I believe that was that Red Route 1 in second. I think it was. Paul Howard, if you're watching live, he's one of our podcast hosts. I know he liked Red Route 1. This didn't blow me away, Jim Miller, but I would say it's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
You do this horse with an impressive horse on Breeders' Cup Day with the horse got the backing it did, and it just all the interest. Definitely repeated that before we said that was a pretty impressive race.
That was great. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end our YouTube show, and then we'll close out our pool party here also in just a minute. For everyone here at home, listening later, for my co-host, Kyle Roscoe, BCBC champ Matt Miller, and the wonderful Jim Miller. This has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 226 live from Club Hawthorne, Crazy Pour OTB in Villa Park, Illinois. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.